Hello there, my mate Vince here, back again on the roller. And in the last episode we put on this little side bit off the bumper. Now I need to do the same on the other side, and I also got to neaten up the front bumper as well. Quite a lot of work to get through in this episode because these bumpers look an absolute mess. But let's get started. Overall I am happy with that. Now if you have a look at the line matches up nicely here. Forget about all this bit. This is again corrosion and stuff under here, which is bubbling this actual centre section out. But yet, even though that line's up there, you can see really it needs to be a good, I would say, an inch or at least 2 centimetres back from here, because you can see it's kind of gone past its area, you know. So yeah, not quite sure what's going on there. I've measured from here to here because I thought maybe this side's been pushed in, but it's measuring the same here, so I think that's all. You know, I think it's okay. It's just doesn't seem to fit well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this side on. This side's going to be so much quicker because you see I don't have to worry about trying to put the trim on separately. The trim's already on, but the trim can stay on because all I have to do is do the bolts at the front and the bolts through here. Remember, I couldn't do that on here because I physically had to put new bolts from here through the trim into this bit. That's why this one took me so long, but I'm hoping this one here is going to be about 45 minutes work, which will be nice. So let me get that fixed on now, and I want to see what's going on with the gap here to see whether this lines up better. If this is also pushed in, that will suggest to me that this whole bumper has been pushed in, because there's no doubt that this has had some bit of impact in the past, which is understandable. The car's old, so maybe the whole bumper needs to come out of it. Also, if I remember rightly, on this side the bumper was really hanging out, and at the front here, you know, really kicking out, and I think it's to do with the ridiculous play that we have in this joint here, because this is being bolted onto here and there is no play on this one here. The one going through here, you can see it's not wobbling. All the wobble's coming from here, and that is a huge amount of wobble. Now the thing is, it does look like it's designed for that hole to be that big. I don't think it's like vibration which has made the hole big, because there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of wear on this spindle or that. But if you have a look, it definitely looks crushed in here. I know on the other side, just trying to do this one-handed, on the other side I just basically did that there and that there to fill it out, and now you can see there's still play there, but it doesn't kind of wobble as much as it did a minute ago. So I'm just going to do that again off camera now. I just want to widen that up as much as possible. Let me just try it one more time here, because maybe then it will sit nearer the car. Right, this one is going on much better because obviously I'm doing the way it was designed to be done. Still not easy, but it's going on much better. Annoyingly though, I can feel that there's a big ridge here because the rubber bumper has just gone just so misshapen over the years. See, if that was chrome, then maybe the chrome be flaking off, but as long as it wasn't waxed, the bumper would still be in shape. I suppose you need to think back to when this car, in the late 80s, just plastic was kind of in, wasn't it? Right, okay, that is now done up. Let's see what it looks like. I need to do up the bolts here more. Yeah, see, look at that. It's not that the bumper's much out, it's just, can you see that should be flat, but it's come up here because it's just, that needs to go down here. Look how flat it is here, and then it just comes up here. Maybe if I was to get the hairdryer on that might be able to be shaped. I just don't think so. I think there's just too much of it. It's just one of those things. I don't think the bumpers are ever going to look good in this car. But if I put a load of back to black on them, or maybe even spray them, you know, actually spray them, then they might look okay. I'm going to mess around on this for a little bit as well. You see where it's coming down here and over there, and just try to get rid of the rust from underneath. And then if I get rid of the rust, over time it might want to kind of bend itself back round again, rather than always being forced down. You know, the bulging bumper here I don't think was caused by any accident. Basically, it's got this metal thing running right the way down through it, and again what's happened is it's rusted up. I've broken it from here to here because this is the bit that's popped out, and it's bubbling, and as it bubbles, you see, it causes this to push out. So yeah, so now we're good metal here because I'm finding it hard to break this one. So let me just go forward and backwards, and then what I'm wondering is, there you go, I'm wondering now, you can see we've gone to good metal there. So this is the bad metal, and then we've gone to good there. You can see it's gone shiny again. So yeah, so that's why it's bubbled out. So I'm going to take it out from the rusty bits, and I wonder now, would I be able to get this back round over here, even if I was to use some glue or something like this to force this round? Maybe. Oh, check this out. I used a bradawl to get it back over the lip, and then the rubber mallet to give it a few whacks, and already it's pulled it right in. Look at it there now. You can still see it comes down here. I'm wondering over time now, again, maybe if I add a little bit of heat, that might go back to where it was. You can see now, it's just this bit here needs to relax. Now, the reason I'm saying over time that it might do it is because you remember the front valance that I've taken off, you know, the underneath of the bumper at the front? Well, that was really misshapen again because it must have been in some sort of accident. Now that I've taken it off for the last like 10 months, however long it's been, it's now starting to untwist and go back to the original shape. So now that that's not under pressure anymore going this way, I wonder whether it will start to pull itself in. So it needs to be there. I'm going to get the hairdryer on that right now and see if it pulls in. Well, it certainly looks better than it did before, but I don't think the hairdryer made any difference there. I think what will make a difference here is time, and if time doesn't make a difference, I'll put a little bit of epoxy or some sort of glue in there to hold it up. Maybe even the stuff I used around the window screen at the front. I can put a bead all along here, and then I can just whack some pieces of wood between here and the floor, and that will hold it up in position there. And then after a couple of days, that will set into place. Honestly, that looks much better because your eye was really drawn to that before. And now, if you have a look, your eye's not drawn to that at all. Your eye's drawn to this, but it's not drawn to that anymore. So I'm going to go along the rest of the bumper, and like for example, it seems to be kicked up here as well. I presume we've got the same thing going on with rust. So I'm just going to mess around with that for a bit and see if we can get this bumper looking a little bit better. Okay, so the reason that this was pushed out is because there was a rusty clip underneath here. So these clips must be like every 6 inches or something like that, and again I presume these plasticky rubber bits slide on like you've seen me slide on this trim here, and because the rust had bubbled, it had forced it out, so I've had to knock that out of it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my hot air station. I'm going to set it to 480 degrees maximum heat, and I'm going to heat up this area, and I'm going to be putting dry glue, this is like hot glue stick, underneath here. And I'm hoping that what will happen is that once it gets up to a temperature, it will melt, and then it will pull it in, and then I can kind of just take the heat off it, hold it in with, like, you know, a chisel or a hammer or something like that, and I'm hoping that will be enough to keep it in place. By heating up the rubbery plastic, I'm hoping it will get more supple. I'm moving it around, obviously I don't want to burn a big hole in it. But if I can make it more flexible, then you see the glue will be happy to hold it in, and then when it goes cold it will go rigid, but it will go rigid in the right position, I'm hoping. And then I'll do the same underneath as well. Now this hot air station is actually set to 480 degrees Celsius, which is incredibly hot, but I'm not holding the nozzle that close to the bumper, and also I'm moving it around a lot to make sure I don't melt it. While I'm doing that, let's shout out the My Mate Vince Massive. This month the members are kitsdigital.com, Kip Hakes, Max Rokotansky, Having Fun Repairs, Chris Seal, Felipe at MrKeebs.com, DJ VG, Pigsy, Robert from Timsy's Auto Air, Daniel Watson, Zeeks C, Anthony Dean, Bazza2, Russ Melanson, Ellis Garbett, Gaspar Heller, Richard Bergland and Jacob Colpin. Many thanks guys. I have glued that in. and I am much happier with how it was earlier. Also, I added a little bit of heat, that's why you can hear it cooling down now, just onto this bit, and I kind of tried to push it down a bit, and I think now it's starting to line up better. I mean, if you look at that bumper there now, considering how bad it looked before, I really need to do before and after shots, which I never do, but that is now starting to take shape a lot better. Well, what I'm doing on these bits, again, this is just where the rust has broken through. Now I must stress, because I know people will say, you're not restoring the Rolls Royce. Yeah, I'm not, because I'm not going to spend £1,000 on a brand new bumper, and the bumpers for a couple of £100 on eBay are as bad as these ones here. So where it's bubbling up here with rust, again, it's just where that strengthening piece going right the way through has bubbled up, and it's pushing this plastic away. I'm just getting a little bradawl, and I'm just scraping back in here to get rid of the rust, and then I'm popping a bit of dried glue in there again, and then melting it with the hot air and pushing it in. I've done it here, and I'm happy with how it's come out. I need to clean it. This is just what the mess you see here is just the glue that's come out of it. Yeah. So once that's fully dry, I can clean that up, and you can just see it's pulling it in. Now it also looks like it's come. This has also burst here as well. You can see at the bottom here that's burst. So I'm going to have to take out the rusted bit from that as well. Right, I've got it all bolted up now, and overall I'm very happy with the shape of it. I still don't like the bumpers, but I can't change that. I do think that it has been, I think the whole bumper has been pushed in a good inch, because this to me is too far forward here, and it's the same on this side. So although it's kind of even across it, I think the whole thing's been pushed in. Now I've had a look at the massive brackets underneath, and they're not going to be something that I can easily knock back out. To me, also, they look lovely and straight and normal. So there you go, this one here, and also that one over there. So I'm not really sure what's going on. Anyway, what I'm going to do is, I noticed that there is some sort of filler stuff here, so I'm just going to get some sandpaper and scrape away that there. Right, I've been shopping, so I've got some bumper and trim gel, I've got some metal polish so we can get it all nice and shiny, got a couple of bulbs because they're always handy, and look, I got some plastic bumper paint black. So I'm hoping that might bring up the bumpers, because obviously these bumpers are heavily stained, and just they wouldn't have been that colour originally, you know. Now I could put back to black on them, but that's not really going to help with the staining, I don't think. So also back to black I think washes off after a couple of weeks. So yeah, I'm going to mask off part of the car, I'm going to mask off this little trim here, and then I'm going to spray them up. You know, before I worry about spraying them, it's still niggling me that this is so far out this way. I think it would look nice, and also I think it would sit in more, because this can't get pulled in anymore because this is against here, so you can see we've got a gap here. I really would like to get the bumper back if possible, and the same this side here. I mean, this side looks like it even needs to go even more, I think. So I've had a look. I think there might be just 2 bolts to undo. So if you come down here, you see, basically instead of worrying about trying to undo this big bracket, why don't I just undo this bolt here? And amazingly, I've tried on both sides, and it's not taking much force to actually move them. So yeah, I'm going to undo that one there, and the same on the other bracket on that side, and then I wonder whether the whole bumper will come out. Maybe it's this thing in here which has been bent, you know, whatever this attaches to. There might even be some room for manoeuvre or something. I won't know until I take it off. Right, see, this is a good thing about just giving something a go. I now know that on that there's a lot of play, not in and out, but up and down. So if you have a look now, you can see that the bumper is now loose. I've only got them just held on hand tight, and this side as well. So if your bumper's riding too high or too low, that's a nice easy thing to change. So before I undo that, I am going to now have to go in and undo these 2 bolts again here, but they're nice and easy to do, and obviously the same the other side. Right, so it's undone from here. This one's undone. The bolts are not that big actually, so quite easy to work with. This one is nearly undone, but you know I'm going to need a hand. I think it's a two-person job. It feels quite heavy, and also I've got the exhaust just below it there. I don't want the weight of this to fall onto the exhaust. Right, so I've got the bumper off now. It is really a two-man job, but it's not actually heavy. You can lift this on your own quite easily. It's just I didn't want it to drop on the exhaust. So yeah, you can see it all here. It's all pretty heavy duty. That's the massive bracket going through there, and not the bracket but the fixing, and there's another one here. So this all looks solid. You know, I can't see that there's any adjustment here whatsoever. Yes, again, it's laminating or delaminating away for itself, but as far as I can see, there's not going to be any, I don't think there's going to be any play there, so I don't think you adjust that. My worry is, my dad that pointed it out, is there play on here? Because there's about half a centimetre or so play, yeah, you know, like there's a little bit of wiggle room there, and also there's going to be a little bit of wiggle room there, so between that and that there's about half a centimetre, but I need this to go back about this much. So even if I do, I'm thinking of packing this out with a couple of washers, it's still not going to be enough to bring this right the way in. It's really bizarre. It's like these have grown over time, because there is no, you know, I can't see any damage here or here, and if you look at the brackets on the car, I mean, they're extremely strong, and this is them here, but they actually go into the structure of the car. Like this bit here goes right the way across, and that to me looks relatively flat. It doesn't look, it looks nice, it doesn't look like it's kind of been bent in, but I don't know. To me, I think the bumper needs to sit, oh, do you know what, maybe not. Maybe I've just wasted my time, because look, it does come out here. If it was in there, you think the bumper would sit, but maybe it is designed to be on this bit here. Maybe that is the actual finish of it. Yeah, because it's not directly in at a right angle, it's like this. I'm not too sure. I'm going to look on Google, see if I can find any images. Might give me an idea. Well, I'm looking through Google Images, and it's amazing how bad these bumpers look. Even on really nice looking cars, the bumpers still seem to be wavy. I think it's just what it is. And if you have a look there, you know, I don't even know if you can see that. It's to me, it does look like it's not fitting in that. It looks like it's coming past it. The ones I've looked at, I just don't understand. Why would you make a cutout? Why would you make a cutout for it and then not have the bumper fit in? I really don't know. But then again, why would you do this? Why would you have a wheel that's not in the middle of the wheel arch? So, you know. Right, here we go, all masked up and ready to spray. I've chose a particularly nice windy part of the garden underneath the apple tree, so hopefully loads of leaves and debris will fall down onto the nice new painted bumpers. Right, let's get spraying and see what it looks like. Right, I'm just going to let that dry. It says on the back, allow 15 minutes between coats. Well, I've given it 2 coats now. Unfortunately, it has dried patchy. So basically, I've got 2 options. I've already gone through 1 whole can, and I'm on my second one now. I can keep spraying it, but I've just got a feeling that, see what's happening is because it's rough, I'm going to keep spraying it, and then I'm going to get smooth bits where there's more and more paint. I don't think I'm going to get a uniform finish all over. So what I'm going to do is, rather than do that, I'm now going to take some very fine wet and dry, and I'm just going to go over these bits here, and hopefully they will dull down like the rest of it, because I'm happy with the finish here, the kind of rough finish. I don't want this smooth finish here. Yeah, so that's good, that's bad. Okay, I sanded it back with 1500 and it wasn't really doing much, so I went to 800, and yeah, I mean, it's definitely gone more to grey now rather than black. and there's a few where it's still kind of patchy, but I think some of that might be the dust now that's settled on it. So I'm going to get a cloth, wet it all down, give it a good wipe up, let it dry, and see what it looks like. Maybe now after that I can put back to black on it if it's a little bit more kind of if it's darker than it was before. I think I'm happy that I've done it. Well, I washed it down, dried it, and it's so hard to know if it's even any better than it was before. I mean, it's certainly darker, but it to me looks kind of patchy. I just don't think I'd be able to get an even coat on it. I think I'd probably have to put 10 coats on it, and I think I just don't think it's going to work, because all that's going to happen is you're going to end up making it smooth, and then how many layers of paint are you going to have it on it, and then it's going to look like a painted bumper. It's not going to look like a rubber bumper anymore. So I think it's yeah, I think I'm going to quit while I might be ahead, rather than keep on at it, just put a load of spray on it and then end up hating it. Right, let me use the back to black stuff. It's not actually called back to black, it's this stuff here, this stuff. So I'll give it a go, and then I'll also use a little bit of the chrome stuff here to polish up the chrome, and then I'll do a final reveal on it. Right, this stuff is going on an absolute tree, and I don't know if things have changed, but basically every car product I tend to use now seems to be a lovely smell. Like, I think years ago when I was doing the Mini and the MG and stuff, I think it was more about function, but now I'm sure they're adding nice smells to it, because it really does enhance the experience. It's lovely. Right, it's I haven't buffed it off yet, but yeah, it certainly seems like a winner. I haven't done this side, but you know what, looking at it, I am actually happier with how they are now. Forget about this because I just wiped my hand on here, but that bumper there definitely looks more uniform colour now than it did before. So yeah, I'm just going to continue with this all the way around, buff it off, and then put it to the car, and I think it's definitely going to look better. How satisfying is that? Oh. There we go. I'm not doing no more now. I'm going to pop it on the car and see what it looks like. Look at the mirrored finish on that there. You could do your makeup in that. I'm really happy with how it's come out. I think when you're stood a few meters away, I think it's going to look okay. Right, the rear bumper is back on, and in my opinion, it's looking so much better than it did before. Before, all this was hanging down here. It was massive gaps here, big gaps here, and also the bumper itself I don't remember sitting in as well as it does now. So yeah, it looks much better now. I think what I'm going to do is have a little play around with this front one here. I'm just going to do the same thing again with this part. You see it's all rusted through and it's broken out, so I'm just going to break this out of it, cut it around here somewhere, clean it all out, and then try using the hot glue again to put this in. If the hot glue bursts out again, it's not a problem, because I will just use the same stuff that I used to fit this in here, and we had like the hottest summer in the UK last year for many summers, and this hasn't lifted whatsoever. So if I was to do the same here and clamp it, then I'm sure that would be a lasting fix. Right, well, what's happened here again is the wire's rusted out, it's pushed it out. Once water starts getting in, it starts rusting everything else, or maybe the clips rust first and then rust the wire out, and then it just bursts through. But you can see here that these are the clips that go through to hold this onto here. So I've taken out the old rusty metal, but it's still very, very, very misshapen. So what I'm going to do is, I'm putting this out here, I'm going to try to cut away this bit here with a Dremel tool, but leave the outer shell. Right, so I've got the Having Fun Repairs Dremel tool. I've just got the little sanding bit on it here, and I've got my safety goggles on. Okay, so you can see now that because I've taken away a lot of the bit in here, you can see now that if I fill it with glue, I've got a bit more wiggle room to move it around the place, while before it was just rock solid. So I am going to pack this with glue all the way across as much as I can. Right, your choice is listen to a screaming kid or play a bit of music, so I think we'll all opt for the screaming kid. Only joking, we'll opt for the music.
I went out and tried to cut a pine tree down, fell through the ground like Alice. Oh, what a sound! This must be a nest. I got rocks and sticks against my chest. I'm Alice. Dear Queen of Hearts, I'ma grow you white roses so you can learn to be kind. Tell King of Hearts to arm all his forces so you can learn to be kind.
Right, as you can see now, in my opinion, that looks really nice. I just opted to fill it completely with this stuff here because it's flexible, the hot glue. If I was to use body filler, I think I'd be worried that it would just crack and fall out after a few months or years, but I think that will remain flexible. Obviously it's not going to be as smooth as body filler, but I'm not looking for it to be perfect. The bumpers are horrendous, so it's just a case of taking your eye away from it. So what I'm going to do is, I don't want to spray the whole thing, I'm just going to give it a light dust in here, and I'm hoping then that your eye won't be drawn to the glue here. I'm hoping then it will just look like a bit of an imperfection in it rather than a big gaping split. You ready for it? I am unbelievably happy with that. Look at that bumper now. Now obviously this is the best it's ever going to look. As the days go on, that gel there will fade away. I might also get actually back to black, because back to black is black, while that's like a gel, so maybe it puts a bit more of a black pigmentation into the bumper. So I might get some of that as well to test it out. But look how good it looks. Really happy with that. Really, really happy with it. mean, from here, it looks nearly perfect. Even that repair that I did, look at it. And that's not too bad, is it? That's not too bad at all. From here, you can't even see it. So what's this, about 1, 2, about 2.5, 3 meters away. Look at that, it just looks so good. Well happy with that. Right, well, if you enjoyed this video, give it a massive thumbs up. Hopefully I'll get another Rolls Royce video out in another week or so, depending on what I'm doing next. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you all very soon. Take care.